Hey everybody, it is Callus here. Bit of a weird situation. So this is a Callus Invitational 7 match, but this is actually from round 6. This was played 2 weeks ago, and I realized the other day as I was browsing YouTube that this simply never got narrated. That's a little bit my fault, a little bit Dice's fault, but basically it was supposed to be Dice who narrated this. He asked if he could guest narrate it. I said, yeah. They had some scheduling problems. Dice was going to live narrate it during the original time slot that they picked out, but then that didn't work out. They ended up getting an extension, which I hate giving, but that's what happened. They ended up playing after they were supposed to within the round. And then I talked to Dice, and he said, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow night or whatever." And he never did, and I guess I got busy, and in the hustle and bustle, we just kind of all forgot about it. He never followed up, and it never got narrated. Dice being unreliable is nothing new. He was my teammate on the Tigers, and it was the same bullshit, but at the same time, like I said, I obviously forgot about it as well, and shouldn't have, so I'm also partially to blame. Regardless, even though the timing of this is going to weird, and it's going to make the thumbnail order look weird on YouTube since there's no way to reorder videos within a playlist. Very annoying. Don't like it. I'm unwilling to let any of the matches go unnarrated. So I'm going to go ahead and narrate this with the pretty clear disclaimer at the front that A, this happened 2 weeks ago, and B, if you've been following the tournament, you already know the outcome here, unfortunately. And I, of course, also know the outcome. I did not catch these games live at the time, so the games at least are going to be fresh to me, but I know who wins, you know who wins. I'm making the best of a bad situation. I think narrating it late is better than not narrating it, but if it doesn't interest you, I don't blame you. Don't have to watch this one if it's not your cup of tea. It is two very, very good ADV players, though, probably worth a watch for that reason alone. But like I said, this is round 6. Happened 2 weeks ago. We're in the third place match coming up in real time, and then the grand finals. So, with all that out of the way, and hopefully we're on the same page and everybody understands what's happening here, this was the round 6 match between McMeghan and Fakes for CI7. Still in the best of 3 stages. Here is game 1. McMeghan, also known as Roro, on the bottom, and Fakes is on the top. T-Tar and Zapdos are very standard leads. Typically, Zapdos does not stick around in that matchup since it's threatened by Rock Slide, Ice Beam, what have you. And out of the way it goes via a baton pass, so he knows that the T-Tar is going to stay in when he makes his selection, to Swampert. Pretty standard T-Tar counter, and it is just Rock Slide, which tells us little to nothing. Starmie comes in as the check, and Zapdos reappears. And McMeghan obviously anticipates that, hence going for Ice Beam, which the Zapdos takes reasonably well at 44%, so I'm going to assume that the Zapdos is bulky for Fakes. Going to go for Thunderbolt to be insta-met with a Bliss. Doesn't really tell us too much on either side just yet. Going to be a Swampert reappearance, maybe thinking something like T-Wave was going to come down, but it ends up being Ice Beam. And there is a substitute, which Ice Beam does immediately break. Nevertheless, probably looking at an Endeavor pert here. And conveniently, McMeghan already made the sand for it. While Ice Beam leaves it at just 1%. Not the roll that he was looking for. Gonna survive, gonna pop the Salac Berry, gonna be able to kill the Bliss with a water attack here. Goes for Surf, which obviously Starmie doesn't care about. Hydro Pump there would actually be a 2-hit KO if they were to both hit, which is a big if. But the Endeavor would leave it dead if it doesn't recover, which of course Roro knows, and therefore he does recover. And Recover can easily PP stall out Endeavor if we go that way. There's only 8 Endeavors to begin with. Way, way, way more Recovers. Swagger coming down to prevent Recovers. That actually kind of makes it awkward. And Surf will be good enough. Fair enough. Bliss bites the dust. The question is, does Roro have something that is faster than the boosted Swampert, such as an Aerodactyl? And the answer seems to be no, but at least he has a sand immunity that isn't T-Tar, since that would have to eat a Torrent Range Surf. Meta will suffice. It also has to eat a Torrent Range Surf, but it's not weak to it, so it takes just, air quotes, still a lot, 58%. And the follow-up is going to be a Smeargle, which Roro can't prevent that from sporing here. So Skarmo's going to take a nap. Zapdos reappears at this point, and he does not kill a Sleep Turn. Roro goes back to T-Tar, getting that favorable lead matchup once again. Thunder Wave is going to be annoying for Tar, but through the power and the imperfect accuracy, going to connect with Rock Slide anyway for the kill. Back in the lead is Roro, 5-4 situation. Unreveals on both sides, fakes to T-Tar, Brick Break, clearly not choice banded. But no follow-up from Roro as he full paras, and now Fake's going to be able to attack again. Play Doll, maybe it's a Brick Break again. Indeed it is. Resist that, no problem, just 11%. Up to 95 after lefties, very healthy. Gengar in, and Earthquake blanked, so that's a good switch for Fakes. This matchup is always tricky. Depends on moves like Will-O-Wisp, Hypnosis, whether he has HP Grass, Giga Drain, or neither. Can always freeze him with Ice Punch. Of course, he can get Psychic Crit or what have you. Neither one comfortable, and we end up with a different matchup entirely. Will-O-Wisp can't burn something that's already paralyzed. And T-Tar here should not be overly threatened by Smeargle. It should be able to stay in and do something. And something ends up being Earthquake. Fair enough. So Smeargle goes down. Leaves us in a 5-3 situation. And here comes Doll. On Brick Break again. McMeghan on paper is winning this game. But is he actually? A lot of his stuff is banged up. Spikes are down. I don't know. I think Fakes has a decent shot here, even though he's down 2 pokes. Earthquake comes up short. Crunch will certainly kill here if he clicks that, which of course he does. And here comes the Starmie follow-up. T-Tar very well may stay in here and Crunch to prevent a free recover. Make the Starmie attack. And that's exactly what happens. Not going to even give him the chance to recover. Stays in, clicks Crunch. Roro knows that's going to be the case. So he's obligated to surf, and we end up in a 2-4, which again, it feels like Fakes is way behind, but I don't know that he actually is here. Well, that freeze certainly changes things in a big way. Had that not occurred, and the Gengar killed the Starmie, I think it's a different story, but that freeze is going to be a game changer. Recover, giving him a chance to thaw, which he does not. That was a huge freeze. That's going to really cost Fakes, I think. Maybe if he thaws now. Recover again. Roro really getting greedy. But the thaw just doesn't come. Now Meta coming in. And still, the Gengar remains on ice. Will not thaw. One more chance. Thaw now. Get it with Fire Punch or something. It just can't. It just can't unfreeze itself. And down it goes to Meteor Mash. I think if not for that freeze, Fakes had a reasonable shot. But as it stands, I don't think the arrow is going to be enough. Certainly not when it misses Rock Slide. And there's Meteor Mash. Fakes is going to lose his arrow, and that was his last poke, and he is down a game just like that. Like I said, I thought that Fakes had a reasonable shot. If not for that freeze, it super duper mattered, but Roro got the hacks that he needed at the right time and got up a game. And he's going to put Fakes in a position where he's 1 game away from elimination. So, let's move over to game 2. And here that is. You guys know how I am with the whole continuity thing, so Roro's going to remain on the bottom, McMeghan, and that is Fakes on the top. This time they both have a T-Tar, and we'll see how they want to proceed. Neither one comfortable. We end up with Swampert on Skarm, which is a Skarm-favored matchup. Pretty much click spikes here, damn near 100% of the time, and this is going to be no exception. He's going to spike up immediately, but Roro, for the second game in a row, has opted for a Starmie, and he's not going to play around a Gar, try to get cute. He's just going to immediately click Rapid Spin, and that will be successful into a Blissey. So Fake's defaulting back to his very standard, very comfortable Skarm Bliss, kind of just what he does. And it doesn't look like Roro's deviated too far from that either. It looks like he also, we haven't seen Skarm, but it looks like a defensive-minded TSS team, which is Fakes' preference as well. So might have something of a mirror match in this case. End up Bliss on Bliss, both sitting there clicking T-Wave, riveting. Neither one going to kill each other ever. And we wait. Starmie going to come in here. This one definitely feeling like it has the potential to go long if they both have very passive TSS teams, which seems to be the case. And they both actually, while their teams are remarkably similar, we don't know what Fakes has in the back, but their teams could even potentially be identical or just like one poke off. They have at least 4 of their 6 pokes in common, we already know for a fact. So we definitely have something of a mirror match here. Crucially, McMeghan has shown a Rapid Spinner, Fakes has not. So if Fakes doesn't also have a spinner, Roro could eventually win this one, drag this one out, if he can get spikes down that his opponent can't remove, but the same is not true in reverse. Hydro Pump missing there for what would have been relevant chunk on the Skarm. And here comes Bliss. So a spike comes down, so I defer to the question that I just asked. Does he have a spinner somewhere? And maybe he does. Still 2 pokes on the back. He might have his own Starmie. There might be a doll. Usually I'm not a big Claydol plus Swampert fan together. But there it is. I prefer Swampert plus Starmie in most cases, but Fake sees it a different way. Fine and well. So he does have a Claydol, so the teams, I mean, assuming that the last poke for Fakes isn't Starmie and the last poke for Roro isn't Claydol, they do have at least one thing that is different, even though they're going to function in a very similar way. They are both playing the semi-bulky Rapid Spinner role that defensively checks some stuff. Different stuff, but some stuff. And we end up Bliss on Bliss. T-Wave, sure. Only mildly relevant if it were to prevent a soft-boiled, but it does not. For sure, with how defensive both of these teams seem to be, this one could take a minute. I narrate on slow these days, gives me more opportunity to discuss things and go over what the players might be thinking, what the sets might be, yada yada. Already thinking I'm going to move this game to normal. Maybe not fast. I mean, hyper fast is too fast for anybody to really narrate, but thinking maybe slow isn't the optimal setting for this specific game. Let me, you know what, I'm going to go ahead right now and put it on at least normal and see where that takes us. So Skarm coming in, Substitute, which is the only move we've seen. But it is a strictly physical subset. Sometimes with sub it is mixed. If he had something there like Fire Blast or Thunder, that actually would have been kind of interesting. But being strictly physical, it's just not that great against the Skarm. As we saw, the best thing you could do is Focus Punch, which did something, did like a decent chunk, but not really enough. We also saw Thief there, which pretty weirdly in this game, thieving the opposing Skarm is like, I don't want to call it a win condition, but like it's a path to win. It's the first step in a plan to victory. How about that? It's terrible that that's what this comes to, but I mean, yeah, it all adds up every time the opposing Skarm meets even a paltry Rapid Spin. That's damage that he is going to have to live with unless it is Wish, which we know that it's not. So I guess the last poke could have Wish if it's like last poke Rachi or something, which frankly would only drag this game out even longer, I think. But yeah, the Thief is relevant there. gives some amount of inevitability if we're going to go really, really long here. And it's certainly, it's hard to give you an exact number, especially without knowing the last. If they have Suicune, Jirachi, Aerodactyl, Mixedman, something that can actually break through here in the back, then maybe this can take less time. But I'm thinking for sure we're going over 100 turns. I don't know if we're talking 200-300 turns or whatever, but I think very, very likely we're going over a hundo. Going over a Benjamin, as they say. As I narrate this, my cat is on the computer desk, coming dangerously close multiple times to stepping on the keyboard. She's old and she doesn't see very well, and she's so cute and so sweet. I don't have the heart to move her, but boy, am I going to be an unhappy camper if she clicks on the button to stop the recording or skip us to turn 1 or what have you. But Panda wouldn't do that. Right, Panda Bear? She's so cute. She's old and she's 14 and blind, and she sat in the shelter for a year. Nobody wanted her because she's old and she's partially black. And she has a chronic upper respiratory infection, so nobody fucking wanted her. She's such a sweetheart, though. They're missing out. Hey, pretty girl. You guys know when I'm talking about my cat mid-narration that there's not a ton to narrate. There was an opportunity there. Ice Beam is always a great move to try to break through these things. Obviously, you want to land a freeze if you can. And there we go. So there is a last poke in the back that potentially could save us from a really long game. Suicune, I mean, great poke in general. You guys know if you've been listening to my commentary how high I am on that poke as a whole. But specifically, in this kind of match against TSS, there's like nothing on the other side that meaningfully pressures it. Kinda, sorta, a little bit physical tar, but like, meh. The Suicune definitely could be a way to win. It could be a very slow way to win, but it should be able to grind out Roro and eventually get something done. In theory. Keep in mind, we still haven't seen Roro's last. But so far, as the game stands right now, Suicune looks like the poke to beat. Looks like the key to breaking this game. Looks like the biggest win condition in the game from either player. But like I said, the X factor of the unknown last poke, very real. Aerodactyl, Mixedmans, Jirachi, assuming it is a CM Jirachi. Those things can change things in a big way. And there is another opportunity to break through this. Had that Earthquake crit, it would have killed the Starmie. Removing Roro's ability to Rapid Spin would have changed things dramatically. So they both had a couple of opportunities. There was a freeze opportunity earlier. There was a crit opportunity earlier. And unfortunately, as much as we all complain about the luck elements in Pokemon sometimes, unfortunately, those kind of things are very often what is necessary and what breaks these matches. Gonna need a crit somewhere. Gonna need a freeze somewhere. When I have commentated GSC in the past, which I feel like I haven't done in a while, but over my years of doing commentary on YouTube, over a decade of it now, I've done my share of GSC. Actually did a decent amount of it at one point. But the point that I was trying to make is I find myself very frequently in that tier in particular in late games announcing that same thing, that the way to break this, the player who's playing better and the player who eventually wins, is the guy who's giving himself more opportunities to get hacks. And sometimes it's like super boring. You go through loops of 15, 20, 30 turns just to get one turn worth of opportunity to maybe get a crit or maybe get a freeze. And obviously the vast majority of the time, it doesn't come. But that ends up being the way to break through a lot of the time. You go through the motions, you go through the loop, and you find that one turn to just get the crit, get the freeze. And that's how you get there. There's been a couple, like I said, each player has had one. Didn't come, but that could be a good way to get out of this game for either player. But If there's no hacks, if we play a completely no crit, no freeze, no BS game from now to the end, as it sits now, Fake's in the better position because of the Suicune. But what is the last for Roro? It's the burning question. And I'm sure Fakes would like to find that out. He's got a couple pokes with phasing moves, so probably the ideal thing he could roar out one of these times is the last poke, regardless of what that last poke is, just so we could figure out what he's dealing with and plan accordingly. Curse-Pert. I like Curse-Pert fine, but I don't like it without Magneton. And maybe it is just last poke Magneton in the back for Roro, which would be among the least exciting last that he could have. Plus, if it were that, I'm not sure why he hasn't tried to trap the Scarm long before now. But yeah, Curse-Pert without Magneton just has a bitch of a time trying to break through Skarmory. So I like the poke, but I feel like Mag is pretty close to an obligatory partner. If it is just last poke Mag for Roro, and I'm skeptical, but if it is just last poke Mag for Roro, then that doesn't seem that exciting to me. Swampert going down is only mildly relevant as well. I mean, again, it just depends on the last. If it's like last poke Meta or last poke Arrow, something strictly physical that might be threatening for Roro, then the Swampert going down is pretty good. Also, there's Ancient Power. But yeah, if it's not, I don't know. I mean, as it stands, the Swampert isn't really doing a lot. It's like checking the T-Tar, but so does the Claydol and the Coon and the Skarm. I don't know that losing the Pert there super matters, but I guess it's progress towards, like I said, I said many turns ago, and I stand by. I mean, it's basically a lock at this point that we're going over 100 turns. The question is, how far over 100 turns are we going? Are we talking 2, 3, 500 turns? I don't know. But certainly over 100. What is the last poke for Roro? Like I said, Arrow, Jirachi, Salamence, Metagross. Hopefully not Magneton. Spike's coming down. And rest. Fair enough. Roro's starting to, like, mildly push his lead here. He also has lefties and the other Skarm doesn't, so hard not to think that Roro isn't ahead at the moment. He clearly is ahead at the moment. Psychic, sure, and Spikes. Doesn't have Toxic, which would be a wonderful way to punish this Claydol here, if it's not Refresh Doll, which it might be, because we haven't seen the last move. But yeah, he's got Thief instead, and you can't have it all. And we're back to Spikeless with that rapid spin. Right, Panda? Here comes Starmie. Spikes go down. And here comes the still sleeping Suicune from before, which has only shown Surf and Rest. So we don't actually know if it's Roarcoon or Crowcoon. Or neither, in theory. Well, CM we know. But what is the last move? Obvious soft-boiled turn here. Yep. Freeze opportunity? Nope. And I guess another freeze opportunity. Successful at that, but this freeze, not nearly as impactful as it would have been the other way around. Skarm on Tar, sure. Any chip matters because the Skarm doesn't have lefties, so I agree with switching to Doll there. Had he stayed in and eaten that Focus Punch, yeah, you could have roared him out, but you're never getting that HP back. Fakes is really trying to grind him out. If he's going to win, he's going to win with the Suicune. Swampert reappears. And we're back to spikeless. I'm glad I switched to normal. I can't imagine. Same game right now, but we're only on turn, whatever the speed difference is, 65. No thanks. Trying to get in the shower and go to work. EQ, Blanken. And in comes Suicune. Alright, finally. There we go. Last poke is Jirachi for McMeghan, and he makes the briefest of cameos and dips right out. But alas, he comes right back. That's just the replay spazzing out. That's not me skipping turns. I don't know why it does that sometimes. It's a known thing. It's been doing it for years. It is what it is. Don't shoot the messenger. But yeah, the Rachi in 2 brief appearances hasn't shown us much of anything. I would hope and assume on this team that it's some kind of Calm Mind variant, whether it's CM Wish to attacks, whether it's CM Sub to attacks. I guess it could be CM 3 attacks, some kind of Super Rachi, but I kind of doubt it. And knowing Roro, it could just be boring, Body Slam, Wish, Fire Punch Rachi, and I hope it's not. I would think on this team it is some kind of Calm Minder. Whether it's Sub or whether it's Wish, I don't know. But I would think that it's some kind of Calm Minder. Full para mildly relevant if he goes Tar here and it paras again. There's Tar. Ooh, gets caught with T-Wave though. Good prediction for fakes. Not out of danger though. Blissey is still just at 42% and there's a spike down. And that was a good prediction for both of them. Good prediction for fakes to catch the T-Tower T-Wave, and then good prediction for Roro to anticipate the Claydol and get that with Hidden Power Bug. Well played by both. Definitely 2 of the better ADV players of all time right here. Not sure where you want to rank either of these guys on your all-time whatever, top 10, top 5, whatever you want, but these are certainly 2 of the top players to ever do this. Here comes Skarm. And that's going to be the worst Sleep Talk, the one that doesn't matter. Going to try it again. Only to be roared away. And there is Bliss, which is probably the worst thing to roar out, because it's obviously going to soft boil now. So that was unlucky variance for Roro, who had only a 1 in 4 chance for it to be the Blissey that gets roared out. But alas, that's what happened. So T-Tar, despite para, is going to sub up, going to try to Focus Punch, going to be immediately sub-popped. But the Focus Punch does happen, and it is another Hacks opportunity there. Critical hit killing Kun would have changed things completely. Very well may have been the end of the game, in fact. But that's not what happened. Rest gets off, and this time it is a full para. But he's going to try again. And he's going to be hit with Surf. Not only meaningful damage, but disrupting the Focus Punch as well. And he's going to have to get out of there now. Suicune going to kill its final sleep turn, finding a relevant move again, Surf. And he's due to wake up. Protect is a little awkward. What if he just CMs here? Alas, he went for Surf, thinking perhaps he was about to be immediately roared out. Going to Surf again and find a crit. That matters. Now if he gets a spin-off, which we know Roro can't block, Roro does not have the ability to reestablish spikes. And insult to injury, here comes the doll coming in for free on T-Wave and gaining lefties. Rapid Spin unstoppable here. You can punish it, but you can't stop it. And the spin does come down. Spikes are permanently gone from Fakes' side of the field. The game has changed. As much as I liked Roro's position before, I think I now like Fakes' position with these recent developments. And I don't think this Curse Pert is going to end up doing much of anything. I guess part of his plan with this team is to support the Curse Pert by intending to thieve from another Skarm. And therefore that would be a very slow, grindy way that maybe the Curse Pert could get through a Skarmory without Magneton, but I still strongly prefer to pair it with Mag. That being said, these Earthquakes are hitting pretty good, 51%. Goes to Skarm hoping it's another Earthquake. And he's correct, but he's got to be careful because it doesn't have lefties. Well, I guess he doesn't have to be that careful because he's just going to spike up. Here comes the spinner. Immediately roared away, and we are back to Swampert. 38% briefly, then up to 44 with lefties as we pass turn 150. Where she stops, nobody knows. I mean, the real question, like I said, is what kind of Jirachi is it? That's make or break. Sub-CM Jirachi here could be devastating. Sub-CM Ice Punch Thunderbolt, I think, is the ideal set here. And that could really be a problem for Fakes. But if it is just some passive set, like I said, Wish, Fire Punch, Protect, meh. Not exciting here. Second CM for Suicune. Seems like a genuine problem for Roro as well. And there is the rest. Did that not because he was low health, but because he doesn't want to deal with full power shenanigans. Also, when he finds Surf via Sleep Talk, it does not use any PP from Surf. So doing this also conserves PP if that's something that he's worried about. Got 16 of them left, so we're not quite at the point where we need to worry about PP, but could be a down-the-road consideration. And he actually can't rest just to get rid of the para there. He has to have damage on him, which is a weird quirk. He couldn't rest here even if he wanted to. The move would fail. Weird mechanic. Full para kicks in. Roro's just trying to dance around it, but he doesn't seem to have a meaningful solution here. He's trying to, I guess, PP stall it out. Not super promising, really. And it's CM again there. Surf would have killed the Swampert had it connected, but we know this Swampert doesn't have Roar. And again, he's just going to try to PP stall him out. He was hoping to get a Surf there and slowly but surely bleed him dry. But the power that Roro inflicted comes back to bite him there as full power kicks in. Therefore, he doesn't use any PP. Soft-boiled and CM respectively. Roro seemingly without an answer to this Suicune, and that is the final boost. That is a +6/+6 Suicune. Full para yet again. I mean, Fakes is one crit away from blowing this game completely wide open. He crits the Bliss or the Starmie, and I think Roro has to pack it in, unless it is in fact a Thunder or Thunderbolt Jirachi that Calm Minds gets a full para and then immediately crits, or something to that effect. And Fake's trying to just brute force his way through. Surf's doing first 165, second 162. Obviously the soft boileds are only recovering 50. This one a little bit of a lower roll at 61, but Fake's trying to muscle through the soft boileds, which he will successfully do here. With Bliss dead, I don't know what the options are for Roro, but they've got to be getting thin. Swampert going to be the answer? There's no way he's still trying to PP stall, is he? 10 Surfs? I don't know. Feels like an uphill battle. Starmie insta-dead, and that's not a critical hit. If he's got to PP stall him, I mean, at what cost? Curse? Okay. T-Tar and pray for full powers and just get him with a crit focus punch or something? Nope. Alright, Jirachi, the last man standing for McMeghan. And it is a protect set. Come on, man. This team way too damn passive. Sub-Calm Mind, the ideal set here, but this is nowhere near-o. And the Suicune ends up being an obstacle that Roro cannot conquer. And we are going to be going to a third game. Fakes rides the back of the Suicune to victory and sends us to game 3. Like I said, this was a lower bracket elimination match in round 6. So this is where one of these players exited the tournament. Unfortunately, some of you watching may already know who that is. The circumstances suck. Gonna narrate it anyway. Here's game 3. McMeghan on the bottom, Fakes on the top, third and final time. And this time it is a Metagross lead from McMeghan, who in the previous 2 games led T-Tower both times. Zapdos, which usually matches up well against Metagross, switches out, perhaps anticipating Rock Slide or Boom, does get the former. His own meta resists it and has lefties. And then Earthquake, obviously aimed at the opposing meta, is just going to meet the Zapdos again. And the Zapdos this time is going to stay in, comfortable with the matchup, clicks T-Bolt, and that's going to hit a Celebi. T-Wave, mildly annoying, but as we all know, it's a natural cure poke, so not the end of the world by any means, and in a sandless game, the Celebi is back to 100% after getting some Leech Seed back. Gonna BP out. Doesn't take the power with him. That move would be a lot worse if it did. And we end up meta on meta. Celebi comes in yet again, perhaps thinking there'll be an Earthquake. And that is the case. Like I said, sandless game. Bulky stuff is bulky. Celebi going to be A-okay unless it gets boomed on. And indeed, it gets boomed on. Fakes deems that a worthy trade. So we've got ourselves a 5-5. And Fakes is willing to show something new. Roro is not. Breloom comes down. Going to get a Spore on something. And something ends up being Magneton, which is probably the right target because I don't think it's overly likely, given what's been shown by Fakes, that he's got a Skarmory in the back. But McMeghan certainly came to prepare for Skarmory. He brought the Starmie 3 times out of 3 in this set, and he's got Magneton here. He knows that Fakes is just such a Skarmory spammer, and I think this is a wise counter pick for McMeghan, but I also think it's wise that Fakes has seemingly changed it up and not brought Skarmory and not brought a really passive TSS team, and I think that's going to do him a lot of favors here, since clearly, based on the team that Roro brought, that's what he was anticipating. And Suicune, who just won the game and got us to Game 3 for Fakes, makes a reappearance. CM's up, and Roro shows his last poke Zapdos, going to stay in 59% T-Bolt despite the Calm Mind, but he's going to eat an Ice Beam, which kills him. So obviously an offensive Zapdos there, but not happy to be one-hit KO'd by the Beam. Fakes takes the lead 5-4, and that Thunderbolt comes up well short from the Starmie. Hidden Power there, just shy of the kill, and it is a sandless game, so that's the big difference between sand or not. Had there been sand, that's a dead Starmie and a threatening Suicune, but because there's not, he gets out of this. Raikou, however, is a problem, especially if it is HP Grass. Calm Mind there, Swampert will just die if it is HP Grass. And it does, and Roro has a problem. A big enough problem, in fact, to forfeit. Man, I didn't catch this game live and didn't realize that it ended this way. But, man, that's not even premature. Metagross would be outsped, killed by Thunderbolt. Starmie, I don't know the spread. If Starmie's faster, then he at least could have tried to get like a Thunderbolt full power or an Ice Beam freeze or whatever, but he must be operating that the Raikou is faster than the Starmie. And then, yeah, then there's the Magneton who's asleep. I guess you could have tried to wake the Magneton and, again, get like a Thunder Wave or get a Thunderbolt full power or something, but Raikou was going to be a huge issue and almost certainly was about to sweep here, and that is not a premature concession for Roro. So, like I said, this was round 6. We're past that now. This happened 2 weeks ago. I didn't want to let any of the sets go unnarrated, so now we have it all. It's all on YouTube. We're all caught up. This is the way that fan favorite McMeghan exited the tournament. Same story with him every year. A good run, good player, just didn't get there, just came up short. He went deep, he was in the mix. He's going to walk away without money. And Fakes continues on into round 7, where he went on to face Rob Jr., which you guys can go check out if you've not done so already. And that's it. Like I said, I wanted to make a point to make sure all games are narrated. I apologize for the bad circumstances, but I'm doing my best with what we've got. We're all caught up, and the match that you should look forward to next is the 3rd place match. And I guess I'll avoid telling you who that's between on the off chance that you don't know But all the videos are on YouTube. Check them out, see where we are, and look forward to the upcoming third place match with quite a bit of money on the line. The difference between third and first right now is, let's see, yeah, it's almost $1,000. It's a lot of money. Alrighty, guys, I'll see you there. Thank you for watching.